right in the morning.
You said there were illegal Chinese cartel grows all around where you grew up. Where did you grow up, and what did your family do?
I grew up in Dexter, Maine. It's kind of in the like the center of the state, southwest Penobscot County, on the border of Somerset. And my mom worked in hospital. She was a medical assistant, and my dad worked for a period of time at Dexter Shoe until our good friend Warren Buffett bought it and closed it and ruined the town of Dexter. And then he worked in car sales for pretty much the rest of my life.
Your father worked in the shoe plant. Your grandfather worked in the shoe.
Yeah, my grandfather also worked in the shoe factory as well. Yeah, Dexter Shoes, it used to be a prestige brand, probably 800 to maybe even higher than that if you include the Milo factory. So probably well over 1,000 union jobs making shoes. But Warren Buffett thought that he could do it better.
Did he?
No.
And what happened to Dexter, Maine?
The town has collapsed. It's scary. It's sad. It's heartbreaking to return to. The public school is the largest employer in the town. My high school, or my Little League baseball coach used to own one of the general convenience stores in town. Not anymore. It's owned by a member of the Patel family. Crazy Bob's Discount Tobacco, also owned by a member of the Patel family.
Have they made it a lot better?
No.
Yep, I knew that.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think 7 Chinese marijuana grows that were operating in Dexter, despite the fact that Dexter opted out of the state's legal programs. So these were de facto illegal. You could look at them and tell that they were illegal, that they weren't licensed, because Dexter did not participate in that marijuana program. Yet for some mysterious reason, the Dexter police know where they are and haven't taken any action on them.
Wait, so the town's economy collapsed when Warren Buffett came in and over time shut down the factory. And then it was invaded by people from Asia who took over the businesses and then started 7 illegal marijuana grows. 7 in the
Didn't
town?
happen that fast. It didn't happen exactly that fast. So I think Buffett's acquisition of Dexter Shoe was in like 96 or 97.
I remember it, yeah.
And it limped along for a little while. And there were some other attempts. There were some other businesses in Dexter. It was a town of about 4,000 people at the time. I think it's now down to 3,500. But when I go home, I don't recognize anybody in Dexter anymore. And, my family, my friends, for the most part, have all moved away. I see Dexter in the headlines a lot for fentanyl raids and busts. But the town has really been hollowed out. And I think it was the collapse, the economic collapse and the despair in the town just created low real estate prices for entrepreneurs from foreign countries to take advantage of. Yeah.
And just bleed it of whatever was left.
Yeah. And we as in the United States have created programs that help them. We've taken money from United States taxpayers to help both we don't necessarily need to get into the Patel Hotel cartel, but they're taking advantage of small business administration loans. And it took until just recently with the election of Trump to stop SBA loans to foreign nationals and non-citizens. I don't know why we were giving SBA loans to non-citizens. That's interesting.
I just want to, because I'm familiar with what you're talking about, I just want to say emphatically that there's been not only no improvement, so these stores, which are very often the only store in a town.
Mm-hmm. Best pizza, coffee, the centerpiece of the town. It's the town common.
It's the town hall. Yeah, of course, everybody's there. And they've been taken over almost exclusively by foreigners from the subcontinent. And I've been to many of them. They've all gotten much worse, much worse. Selling drug paraphernalia, just garbage products, hostile. Have you seen any improvement?
No, and they're also, they're selling cannabis product derivatives that were legalized by the Farm Bill that legalized hemp and unintentionally created this huge world of dodgy, unregulated drugs that are available for minors. And in many instances, it's these specific convenience stores that are selling these hemp-derived products, which are, THC or marijuana adjacent. Will give you kind of the similar experience, but are wildly underregulated and untested, dangerous.
Every illegal Chinese vape is for sale. it's the most degrading thing I've ever seen. It makes me want to get a gun every time I walk into one of these places. It's just parasitic behavior in the most obvious way and hostile. So,
and we have no immune system as a state to repel what's happening because there's not enough capital to come in. There's no competitor to foreign money coming in with an SBA loan and buying up Toots Delicatessen and Dexter. There's no one else who could possibly buy that store, and there's no one who would want to, frankly.
So I've seen, and I hate to get sidetracked, but it's such a big question in rural America. Who runs the general store, the convenience store, the gas station store, whatever you call it? It's the center of every little town. And if all of a sudden in the space of 5 years, they're all run by non-citizens from India and they're all getting worse and they're all engaging in business practices that are almost like intentionally degrading of the people who live there. Like, no, we only sell generic cigarettes, illegal Chinese vapes, and some kind of weird non-regulated narcotic and bongs and crack pipes. That's literally what's happening.
Yes.
And there's garbage piled up outside. I mean, the whole thing is like beyond belief. You have to sort of wonder, like, what actually is this? Are these incredibly profitable businesses? This seems like a scam of some kind. But last thing I'll say, I know this for a fact, a lot of these places, if you look at the tax records, they trade for, $300,000 or something. But most of the transaction is off the books in cash. So they're dodging taxes, actually.
And they shift around from one trust to another trust and then back to another trust. There's very complicated, very complex financial schemes at play. And
so this is clearly a scam. This is a criminal scam. I don't think it's just in the state of Maine. I think it's probably all throughout. I know it's in New Hampshire as well and Vermont. What is this scam?
Well, they're certainly not making money off the hotels that they operate in the general stores. If you look at a town like Lincoln, Maine, something similar has happened where one family from away, from out of state, has come in and purchased competing rival gas stations. But there's one gas station that's still owned by a local. And so naturally, the people who know the guy who owns the store and don't know the guy who owns the other stores will go and patronize the guy that they still know. So as business has declined to these other general stores, somehow they're still thriving. And initially their employees are locals and Mainers, but then eventually there's a new class of employees who are brought in very likely on visas, who are also from away. So I think that if you look at some of the...
From India.
Yeah. I think that if you look at some of the cases that have been filed, even under the Biden administration, against operations that look a lot like what's happening in Maine, they're immigration scams. They're using these businesses as a pretext to get SBA loans and also to get access to visa programs so that they can sell legal entry into the country to people back in.
So they're selling. India. They're selling those visas.
To be clear, I don't have proof that that's happening in Lincoln or Dexter, but there are indictments there's one I know very well in Texas where that's exactly what was happening.
It's made every town where I've seen it, and it's, a dozen or more worse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, there are a million scams, but like if you roll into somebody's town and degrade it on purpose and make it much worse, I think that's a moral crime. And there's been no response at all. Okay.
Yeah. And I was asked about a food pantry operation that they were trying to set up in Dexter. They were trying to raise some money to, help give out food to poor people. And I asked, how much of the new owners of Dexter Variety and Toots Delicatessen contributed to this charity operation. Their new, pillars of our community and small business owners, how much have they given? And I was never given a very good answer on that.
Yeah, the answer is zero, of course. So you may have seen a recent story about a smartphone that got smuggled out of North Korea. The device is programmed automatically to take a screenshot every 5 minutes, so the government in Pyongyang knows exactly what its subjects are looking at. There's no privacy at all in a police state. So that seems like something that only happens in North Korea, but unfortunately it's not. It happens here too, all over the so-called free world. In the United States, for example, data brokers monitor everybody's online activity, what you read, click, buy, more, everything you do, and then sell information about you without your knowledge or permission to advertisers and even data scammers, and by the way, other governments. ExpressVPN is a way for you to fight back. ExpressVPN is an easy-to-use service that hides your IP address and encrypts all your internet traffic. That makes it unreadable to people who would steal your information and then sell it. It works on every device, A single subscription covers up to 8 devices. Tech experts consistently rank ExpressVPN among America's top VPN services. There's a reason for that. You get an extra 4 months of ExpressVPN for free just by scanning the QR code on the screen, or go to expressvpn.com/Tucker and get your 4 extra months for free. expressvpn.com/Tucker.
But that's only one aspect of how the United States taxpayer is subsidizing this, what's happening here. About, I would say, a third of the properties in the state of Maine that would go on to become illegal Chinese marijuana grow houses were purchased using mortgages through a program called the Community Development Finance Institution. It's a designation that you give to banks. The entire purpose of the program is to help marginalized communities access financing. The idea is that if you were an immigrant in the 1990s, you couldn't prove regular income, you had irregular finances and trouble accessing a mortgage. So they created this special program to take away some of the risk from the lender. So there's one bank in New York, Quantic Bank, that has the CDFI designation, and on their website they advertise that they'll help non-citizens, foreign nationals, buy property in the United States. This bank advertised on...
I'm trying not to use the F word. Why would we be helping foreign nationals buy in places where there's a housing crisis and the people who are born there can't find a house to live in? What is going on?
And then why, under COVID, would we supercharge the program with an additional tranche of funding? Why would we put that program on steroids? I don't know. I know that it was exploited.
Because you want to kill and replace the people who populate your country. That's why. Replace them with other people, obviously.
Yeah. In looking at the mortgage records, having to actually look at the physical records themselves, I cottoned on to this Quantic Bank pattern. And it's just a quirk of how the Registry of Deeds records work, that you can search by the lender. And so I searched Quantic Bank just to see, do they loan to everybody? Or are they just suddenly a new domain? And I would say 95% of their loans were post-2019 and exclusively to people with Chinese names from New York and from Boston. And in further reviewing those records, I found that there were 2 individuals, 2 loan officers, who were originating almost all of those loans, 95% of those loans. And one was a Taiwanese national, and the other was a Chinese national who graduated from a university in China that's affiliated with the PRC's economic warfare program. And I actually got phone interviews with them. They're on our X page. You can go listen to them. I asked Ying Chen Wang, I said, did you know that these properties of all these loans that you're doing were becoming illegal marijuana grow houses? She said, what? No way. Well, I'll have to say something about this. We'll have to put a stop to this.
Did they?
I don't know. I'm unaware. I know that there's been a lot of letters written by politicians about the CDFI program, about why we're doing this, but the horse has left the barn at this point. I mean, they have the properties now, and they have the means to generate as much cash as they want. This was a gold rush in Maine. That's what it was. It was when we legalized marijuana, there was a vote in 2016. The state, came out and said, yes, we want adult use marijuana legalized. They formalized the program in 2020 and created an adult use program and a medicinal program, which are very distinct. And the medicinal program is vastly underregulated compared to the adult use recreational program, which is counterintuitive. But the medicinal program is like the wild, wild west. But when we did this, we created just a pig scramble for a $5 to $10 billion market for this drug. And the forces that we unleashed and the forces that were brought to bear on Maine to access that money, we weren't prepared for. The local police weren't prepared for it. The sheriffs weren't prepared for it.
Because they were told that this was going to solve the crime problem associated with illegal drugs. If you legalize something,